So
this is their vacation. I mean, this is the thing that ruined it. It used to be every 5 years you go show up at the Coast Guard and renew your license.
Range of the material.
But aside from that, you didn't do anything
must stay within
when I
the
first got out of school.
Ship's design.
And this idea of perpetual training, it's like, really?
The relationship between the stress and strain.
Wasn't enough to be on the ship for 3 months at a time?
This is the metal's
6 months?
modulus of elasticity. I'll repeat that. Modulus of elasticity. This is a measure of the stiffness or rigidity of the metal.
Well, everything's going to change
as the ratio
as we know it. So last time I gave the course, I was arguing with them that there's 8 students, I should have 8 desks.
Per inch of elongation.
You could barely fit it in that room.
On the stress
they had the extra couple desks,
figure 10.4,
but they only had like 6 computers.
The modulus of elasticity is represented by the initial slope of the curve.
Part of
the steepness of the curve, the more rigid the material.
A pair had to double up, so I'd say
in some cases the property of stiffness
the new state law says you can only have a group of 5. That counts the instructor.
For example,
you can only have
a shaft strong enough for a given job might be rigid enough. That is, it might.
Well, that's the thing. So it's the same way with our vet now. With this drive-by stuff, like a diabetic cat.
Could be used,
and they wanted to charge us $25 for a phone consultation for the blood test we did on the cat at home.
That would be for a long propeller shaft.
In other words, they prescribe like if the cat needs insulin. Fine, we've done this before.
If
we've got a blood meter, we can test the cat's ear.
Elastic
we can do a 12-hour
or less
range to see how she's doing. My wife did it.
Slight increase in stress.
Oh yeah.
Then a sudden yield will take place with strain.
You got to use a flashlight.
At this point,
you got to use a flashlight to get light up underneath it to see the vein.
YEILD
and
yield.
And then what you do is use petroleum jelly on the fur, so it the blood sticks. Yeah, my wife's good at it
in the test procedure.
I got to give the insulin. She does it.
As the stress is continued, that point will finally be reached when the concentration of the test piece.
It's a trick. One of the vet checks showed,
which started.
It just helps after to make a bead of blood.
Will result in fracture of the piece.
It beads it up.
Stress necessary to achieve this.
No. Instead of the blood just going under the fur, it beads up. Like a water droplet
very accurately
on a petroleum jelly.
Thus, the purpose of the tension.
Well, just is
to find the ultimate
you're going to stick them.
Not the elastic limit or the yield point.
Yeah, because this cat, it's about
elastic limit
10 pounds. We're giving it 2 units morning and
reduced. With
its blood sugar goes from
in the morning
to experience before the first shot to about
approximately
140, 250, and then by lunchtime it's 75, and then
careless practice.
By dinner time again it's back up. 8 o'clock at night back in addition to this. Oh, the 200s again.
It is common in ship design to allow for a factor of safety of 4.
The bastards, they sold us the insulin. Factor of safety. We wanted to check back with them. They wanted to charge us to talk about it.
To put it another way, members are commonly made twice as strong as they have to be to stay within.
Anyway, no, I'm just doing the machines recording the podcast I just did now. We're up to full strength.
But also allows for
this is the 19th
and a factor
sort of a half hour of one I've done in the book. I'm up to page 220 in the book.
Wastage of the material service.
But I tell you, once I get done archiving the book like this, my spoken words in the book,
for an officer serving aboard a 28
the next thing is vessel. Yeah, the next thing is a lot of short stuff.
Therefore,
maybe every other hour.
Should be given.
Here's a minute for Bill.
And has undergone since that.
But I have made it $1.11 so far in royalties. Hey, you can plot it. You can actually see the response. It's kind of cool. It's like a video game.
If you have iron,
you got to make $10 before they pay you, though.
When the two combine, they make iron oxide.
Yeah. But now that I've increased the number of exposures,
the interesting thing about rust,
it's going
iron
much
oxide
faster
is
than once a week.
Together is heavier than.
But it's a good idea to have me podcast. It gives me something to do.
I believe
other
it's
than
one
deal with my
molecule,
mother's house and stuff.
As they call
I had a
it,
lawyer. I had to hire a lawyer to start and
molecular.
They call it in the ejection process because the person's not paying rent.
When you think of rust as a light, feathery,
Yes.
Material.
And of course, the house is near Fort Lauderdale, so that Broward County is just as bad as Miami as far as the virus
will make 11 inches of rust. It's 11 inches of rust will actually weigh more
reverse mortgage company
dry
the house for free
than the original piece of
well,
steel.
There's equity in the house. It's just let's see how much it's all going to cost.
That's just a side note.
I feel like carrying 2 houses.
It's interesting because ships do get heavier as they get older.
Anyway, so that's where
part of it is the accumulation of this rust in the double bottoms.
That's a hassle.
An ultimate stress of a
see, my parents had a trust made.
The
trouble of it is they showed me the trust, the legal document.
It's about
they didn't show me the rest of it.
With this in mind,
so it was like you're looking in an empty box. Like, okay, it's a trust. What the hell does it mean?
Expected to withstand a maximum load of 75.
So part of it is just discovering like what is
using
there
a factor of safety.
And there's not much other than the house.
Based on the
like
ultimate
one
strength,
bank account,
it appears that the square inch
there was no
of mild steel would not be called upon to take
beneficiary listed. So what happens
per square inch?
Therefore, the girder 4 years, the state of Florida gets any money
inches
that was
cross section,
unless I want to go to the probate court and spend a lot of money to try to get $1,000 or less out of it.
Also revealed by the stress
there's a lot of bummers like that.
Is a very important property called ductility. DUCTILITY.
Yeah, she was 89.
Ductility. The lack of ductility is usually called brittleness.
But
it is revealed in tensile stress by measuring the percent of elongation and the reduction of
trouble
cross-section area.
If I had decent parents, I'd have been a better person.
Good ductility.
One was a World War II veteran.
Metal can be cold
wished he was back in the war.
With relative ease without
best part of his life in the Philippines.
Other properties of varying importance.
The other lady, she was just trying to survive.
Include hardness.
Neither one of them had any
that
education.
property of the metal that enables it to resist plastic deformation, resistance.
Anyway.
Erosion, oil,
I'd be up for going,
generally
risking myself going back in there. But
hardness testing is usually
in a way we'll see how this. I think the South is going to explode soon
on a flat surface
with them opening things
of the
up.
Test specimen, measuring either the diameter.
Do you realize, John, we're averaging 3,000 deaths a day?
A measure of the abilities of the material to withstand a sudden shock.
Yeah, but this is a specific thing that
stress.
It's could be avoided. It's
Toughness
just a matter
may be measured.
People aren't used to this long passage of a
release
storm.
of a hammer at an end of a pendulum and recording the energy absorbed by the test specimen. Fatigue stress, a property relating to the ability of a material to withstand continuing.
Well, the thing of it is, it would be nice to know if we could all get tested
to
know if we've already
for
had it or
example,
not.
A material may now be in stress, in tension.
But if they had that antibody test, if they had the antibody test that says you've had it already, so the chances are you're safe to move about the country. Maybe not.
Stress is on a loaded beam. It's necessary.
Well, this is the thing: is there we have to understand how this works.
Stresses that fall.
Now they had this pandemic in
the theory of
1917, 1918.
Results from a study,
and I guess the people that survived, and maybe that pandemic virus is still with us. From there,
but also used
we've
arriving at
to
the
it.
strength of the entire ship.
It's natural selection, but
in the latter case, the entire hull of the ship is considered to be a single girder.
It is, but like I said, it's just do we want to do it slow so we don't overwhelm the hospitals, or do we want to just have a disaster?
And that's where we'll come off next time. We'll resume here.
You watch in 2 weeks. Since they started to open these malls and stuff up, we'll see how it goes.
Well, that's my license question of the day. I hope you enjoyed it.
Well, they didn't really open up.
You. And,
wait a minute, they didn't open up anything.
You know where to find me on LinkedIn. Now, please stand by for a word from my sponsor.